In this video, we're going to talk about claim construction, claim charts, and how to look at a claim in a patent to determine whether or not it covers your product or service. Let's break down the process of looking at a claim into two parts. The first thing you need to do to understand whether a claim from someone else's patent covers your product or service is to understand the scope of that claim, and that's called claim construction. The second part is to take that claim as you've construed it and then apply it to your product or service to figure out whether your product or service meets each and every element of that claim. Now, when talking about claim construction, courts have given us some guidance on how to figure out the definition and meaning of the words in the claim. And what they've told us is that you need to look at the language of the claim itself and understand it based upon the teachings in the rest of the patent, the specification, including the drawings, and also looking at the prosecution history. The prosecution history is the record of how the applicant got their patent from the Patent Trademark Office. So the office actions, the rejections you received from the examiner, and your responses to the examiner in ultimately obtaining your patent rights. So let's take a particular example. Claim 1 from a patent that we've looked at in the past. You may remember the infamous shaving scenes where we talked about the Gillette razor in patent 6212777. So one of the things people will do when they examine a claim to understand whether it covers their product or service is they'll set up what we call a claim chart. And generally you're going to have 3 columns. In the first column you'll break up the claim into elements. And we've done that here with claim 1 from Gillette's patent 6212777. In the second column you'll provide information showing how you've construed that claim. Now again, in order to construe this claim, we're going to go back and we're going to read the specification, we're going to look at the drawings, and we'll probably even look at the prosecution history, how the applicant obtained this patent. Now there's a couple things to keep in mind when you construe a patent, looking at the specification and prosecution history. One is that while the specification can help you understand what the words in a claim mean, you can't take limitations from the specification and read them into claims. Also, a claim is not limited to the embodiments disclosed in the specification necessarily. So for example, if you see this first element of claim 1 that says a cap, let's say that all the caps that are shown in the specification of the 777 patent show a certain shape. Let's say there's a triangular shape to the cap. Now, unless the claim specifically recites the cap must be triangular, you can't necessarily read that limitation into the claim and assume that this claim is limited to a cap with a triangular shape. But you're going to go through and put down some information showing what each of these words in the claims mean in the second column for construction. Then you're going to go and apply those claim limitations as construed to the accused product. So let's say you're offering to sell a new razor. For example, the razor that was offered by Energizer Holdings with 4 blades in parallel shape. You're going to go through and say, do you have a guard? Do you have a cap? Do you have a group of first, second, and third blades? And then do you have this particular geometry that's required by this claim? For example, a first blade defining a blade edge nearest the guard having a negative exposure not less than minus 0.2 millimeters. What you're trying to do is find at least one element in all the claims that your product or service does not include. It doesn't matter if your product or service has extra material, extra aspects. That doesn't avoid infringement. Again, you need to avoid having each and every element of a claim. And infringing just one claim of a patent means you infringe the entire patent. So recall that there's 2 different types of claims in a patent. There's independent claims and there's dependent claims. As we look here at the 777 patent, you can see that claim 1 is an independent claim because it stands by itself. But there's also claims like claim 2, which says a safety razor blade unit according to claim 1, and then it adds extra elements. So you can understand that if you don't infringe claim 1, you necessarily don't infringe any claim that depends from claim 1. Because claim 2 has all the same elements as claim 1, if you don't have all the elements of claim 1, you also don't have all the elements of claim 2. So therefore, if you're seeking to find out whether or not you infringe a patent, You start with the independent claims, such as Claim 1, because you know if you can escape those claims, you've escaped infringing the entire patent. And that's a very general overview of how to look at the claims of an issued patent to figure out whether or not they cover your product or service.